At the GSL finale in Salt Lake City, we saw some amazing models. We saw old friends and met new people, many who watched the channel. It was great to connect with you in person. One of the interviews we captured was with Mike Scott, who shows us his best-in-class street rod. But the interview started with a surprise, a follow-up to my 3 things I haven't figured out yet video. If you missed it, a link to that video is in the description. You'll see more of the surprise in a follow-up video, where I'll be sharing some of your suggestions. A heartfelt thank you to Mike Scott for the surprise and for this interview of a model he spent 4 years building. I'm at GSL with Mike Scott, and he came up to me and said, you know, I saw something on one of your videos. I'd like to show you something really special. So here goes.
Well, if you notice, the dashboard is made of engine turn.
Engine turn.
You had requested if somebody can make an engine turn, so I made you the bit.
Oh,
this
no.
is the one that I use, and you may have it.
Oh man, thank you.
Now you can make all the engine turn you want.
Oh, look at that. Now, the material itself.
It is steel. It's a Dremel steel cut down, and then I machined a piece to hold it tight.
This is so cool. Look at that. That's gorgeous. And it's okay, so it's steel and it's basically a brush.
Yes.
So it's not like
You just barely touch it. Touch it on it.
just pop it down.
Yep.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
Yes, you said that was one thing you'd like to see, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's what gave me the inspiration to do the dashboard.
Yeah. In that video, when I did it 1/1 scale on a Bridgeport, I was basically using a brush.
Yep.
But I was never able to really bring it down to scale to an effective tool.
It took me a long time to get that figured out. As soon as I did, I was like, oh my gosh, okay. Got it.
Okay, I promise I will do you the honor of using this and making something
Yep,
really
do
cool.
a firewall or something.
I
with it.
will.
Yeah.
So, the rest of this car is just as awesome. There's a ton of metal in here. And how much plastic?
There's only 12 pieces of plastic and 4 pieces of rubber. The rest is brass and aluminum, the entire car.
So it weighs.
I don't know, it weighs a little bit, yes.
So it feels cool when you pick it up. I mean, it's got some.
It's got some weight to it.
Yeah.
I built the Jaguar style rear end first. Full independent rear end, all the steering, everything is exact to scale.
There's such a great contrast between all the smooth and shiny, and then the little bits of detail for the fasteners,
Yep.
or the diamond that's on the transmission pan.
Yeah.
Now, are we looking at a lot of aluminum or brass that's
More.
been plated?
No, it's all aluminum. Lots of losing my fingertip. The exhaust is all made of one piece of aluminum. The header and exhaust are made as one.
Wait, so from where it mounts to the engine to the exhaust tip,
Yes.
it's one.
This is all one piece. It's all one piece.
So it's like not really fragile at all. You're not worried about a part of that breaking off?
No.
It's just once it's mounted to
No,
the
and it does have the flange with the bolts. It's all bolted together. The rear end itself has 40 bolts holding it together. There's 40.
So you're talking basically no glue?
Yes, I glued all the bolts in.
Oh, okay.
There are 40 bolts holding it together.
Sure.
And there's bolts everywhere. Everything is bolted as if it was a real car, is how I built it.
Wow. So it's sturdy.
Very sturdy.
And the wheels?
They're all machined of the design that I chose and machined them all.
The spokes and everything.
Yeah, everything.
Right. So you were able to dial in whatever offset you wanted, the whole thing?
Yes, and with the knockoffs in the center, and they have everything is like the radiator blades are brass, real thin sheets of brass. The steering wheel is actual oak, and oak flies apart really easy on a lathe, trust me. So it took quite a few to make that, and then the brass was cut out, and then I made a buck and squeezed it to get the shape of the brass.
Oh, you mean to get the arms themselves?
Yeah, the arms to drop down like that.
So it's a little bit of trial and error till you get just that.
That was actually a first shot.
First shot.
That was the first shot. It was like, I just slammed it with a hammer and went, okay, good.
And then you glued the oak section onto it.
Yes.
So for the oak, did you start with like the opening and then just bring it down in size till it?
Actually, what I did is I made a bit to go into my lathe
Yeah.
a half moon.
Okay.
So when I went in to it, I cut it all the way out.
Right, and then you had it.
I had it. And then I put it in the mill and then took a blade, a 10,000ths blade, and cut it off.
In the engine? I mean,
The
no,
engine
wait.
is a 392 Hemi,
Are we,
Chrysler.
are we looking at any kit parts here?
The body,
Yeah.
the engine block and intake, and the tail shaft are plastic. And of course the interior pieces are plastic. That's it. I tried making an engine block, but I couldn't get the detail good enough. So I did the next best thing. Plus Augie Ascano, he did the same thing. So I was like, all right, Augie did it, I'm gonna do it. He was my inspiration.
Oh, for so many of us.
Such a good guy, such, machinist. This is my first attempt at machining an entire car. I usually just do small parts.
Successful. Yeah, right. Small parts that go on.
Yep. Yeah, and it took like 3 weeks just to do the taillights because they're all made of brass, different layers of brass.
You made the post section and then you were adding on to that.
Yes. Because it's really hard, and I had to make bits for all of that. If you turn your bit around, it's a softer material.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So I was able to drill it, carve it, and then I heated it up and doused it in water. I mean, like I said, this is pretty new to me. And it isn't gonna last a long time, but it cut it what I needed.
Right, you're building one model for the most part,
Yep.
and that's the pleasure of it. You don't need to make 1,000 parts.
No.
And your gold leaf, your decal that runs around the.
Yep, those are all made. I made those on an Alps printer.
Wow,
Yep.
they look great. The level of glossiness to them is just right. It catches the light so well, and it's such a good contrast against the body color. And it goes great with the interior.
Well, thank you. The interior color we couldn't decide, and I took many tries to get the right color and then to get the texture on it, because I wanted it to look like leather, not just brown paint.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of learning, a lot of trial and error.
Now the grill and the grill shell, are they?
That's
I would
solid
guess
brass. Solid brass, and then I used the sheet train set stuff, train parts. And that's what I used, and I just layered it in there so you can see through it.
The core of the radiator.
Yes, so you can see right through the radiator like you're supposed to.
So as you move around that, as you're on an angle, you're not seeing through, but when you get truly to the front, you get that reveal.
Yes, yes.
That's what gives it so much life. You get that little surprise as you're looking around. And the tires?
The tires are a kit tire. I don't know where they came. These come from a Monogram Pro stock.
Yeah.
And then I made they're a brass cover on one side, and then it's vented on the other side, so there's disc brakes in the middle of it. And I did touches of brass and mesh in there to give it some contrast.
Is that a drum for the emergency brake?
Right here?
Yeah.
Yes, because that's a power flight transmission.
Yeah.
I hand carved the bell housing, is completely hand carved out of aluminum, because they unbolted from the power flight, like a real one.
Gorgeous. And now we get to see the engine block. That looks great. Lots of warms and cools. Good tones.
Yeah, I tried.
Good job. Thank you, man.
Yes.
And I thank you for this.
I seen it in the video, and I'm like, we were trying to figure out what to do with the dash.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do that and give that to you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for saying hi.
And the final regular GSL award in the final GSL regular class was to Michael Scott for T-Bucket.